upcoming proposals. Let's get the agenda posted in the chat if we can. These bi-weekly meetings keep the community informed, give proposers direct access to the council, and maintain transparent communication across our global ecosystem. So what are we building? We're creating the Internet of Money. 7 billion mobile users can send data instantly, but still can't truly own or move money. The Telcoin Association is changing that by building the Telcoin network and using TEL as the blockchain standard for global telecommunications. Telecom operators already run the internet with Telcoin network. They also secure the blockchain, bringing accessible digital finance to every mobile subscriber worldwide. Our platform architecture is 3 integrated layers. The Telcoin network, which is an EVM-compatible Layer 1 blockchain validated exclusively by the GSMA, mobile network operators, creating a new revenue stream for telecoms. TELX, which is our liquidity layer for user-owned self-custodial exchanges, and TAN, the Telcoin application network for mobile apps that connect users to blockchain services and each other. There's 4 minor groups that share governance: validators, GSMA, MNOs, liquidity miners, developers, and stakers all participate equally. Each group earns fees and TEL rewards for their contributions. This alignment turns participants into owners and defenders of the network. The TEL token and governance. TEL is the gas token, staking asset, and the governance token. The TEL Association is a Swiss verein governed by 5 elected councils. Our Platform and Treasury Council, just as it, oversees sustainable platform development and responsible token economics. And why it matters. Every decision we make brings us closer to uniting telecom operators and billions of users around shared blockchain infrastructure, where money moves as easily as data on any mobile phone. As your elected representatives, we're committed to careful proposal review, transparency, and faithful execution of the government's framework. With that, let's move on to today's agenda. The last meeting, we had several updates. Updates on the Telcoin network, the unified web update. We also talked about the TEL token TELIP that was out for the Telcoin TEL token upgrade, the TELIP for governance director roles, which we discussed, and then we had open Q&A and questions. So with that, let's move along to the Telcoin network updates. Grant, are you out there?
I am. Thanks, AJ. In the past 2 weeks, we've closed 85 pull requests and 79 issues across Telcoin Network's protocol and the smart contract code bases. It's the most productive window in the project's engineering history, and it's all surrounding this one thing, which I'll mention at the end. So to start off with the security updates, we have our first independent results in. So we're working with Cantina, which is a highly regarded independent security firm. And we've worked with them closely for the past year. They've completed their first review on the staking and consensus registry contracts just 2 weeks ago. And my last update, we've since reviewed and confirmed their initial assessment. So again, there are no critical findings. There are no high severity findings. In total, there were 15 findings, 3 mediums, 11 lows, and 1 informational. So all 15 are now closed. 12 were fixed with patched code, 3 were reviewed and accepted, and we will include the reasoning in the report that's published later, but nothing was quietly ignored. Just to give a quick recap for those who are interested, the medium findings all came down to edge cases around protecting validator penalties and rewards. That audit produced real improvements in that logic, and that ultimately just protects the operators that secure Telcoin network. And it's now frozen and it's ready for mainnet. And beyond those audit fixes, staking got some real safety rails, including expanding our delegation, which now carries a deadline and it can also be revoked. Stake can also be topped up after a penalty. and changes to the stake settings will take effect at the end of each epoch instead of needing a manual push. So there's less trust required, there's less operational babysitting, it's more programmatic, and there's just fewer ways that validators can run into issues. On the Rust protocol side too, we also had a lot of great improvements. So addressing overall node reliability, the distributed network is really defined by how it behaves when things go wrong. And in these past 2 weeks, we did a very systematic sweep of exactly that. We had around 20 hardening items just regarded around node reliability and consistency that are now closed. We also scrutinized and hardened public endpoints, including the foundation for the worker gateway, where users will be able to submit their transactions through. That's now includes rate limits, size caps, transaction screening, metrics, a dashboard, and a lot of these deployments that scale under load. Operationally and onboarding wise, we now have a strong foundation for snapshot syncing. So nodes can join the network immediately instead of reprocessing all the data from Genesis. And that new format includes closing execution state and tooling to move it in and out, and then writing snapshots every epochs for nodes that choose to participate. So really joining the network just gets dramatically faster, and that matters a lot for validators that are coming online. So, and with that, we did an overhaul too to gain more visibility and improvements to the metrics, including round progressions, certificate formations, syncing distances. So, all of this is kind of leading up to that final steps. So we're preparing for outside scrutiny. Right, the code base is already public, but we need third-party assessments. So starting with the execution code base, which was reorganized so that external auditors can actually read it. There's smaller modules. It's now very thoroughly documented. We've consolidated duplicate code. Any of the old protocol paths are now deleted. The test suite is meaningfully faster. We've reduced timing-based flakiness, and we have real condition checks. So all this to say, we have less surface area for auditors to look through, and we have faster feedback for engineers who are building. So at the epicenter of all these efforts is security audits, which are the remaining gate to mainnet. Everything I just described, this hardening sweep, the reorganization, the legacy path, the faster tests, it's all about clearing the runway for those audits. And the first results are already in. So no criticals, no highs. We've addressed all of everything. So that's really where the network stands today.
Okay, thank you, Grant. Does anybody have any direct questions to Grant at this time? Okay. So our next agenda item is the TELIP that we had talked about last time for the TEL token upgrade to, thank goodness, get it up to a standard number of decimal places so that developers like me don't have to worry about the flaky math that goes on with everything. So that was put up, and it was passed both by the platform and the Treasury councils, and it is finishing up. So it's a good job, everyone, on quick turnaround of that. I think that's what we really needed. And I don't think that there was really a whole lot of debate that it was kind of like a necessary move to put us out there and have us compatible with all of the other tokens out there, just to make everything easier on everybody. Grant, did you want to add anything in particular to that topic at all, or?
Yeah, I guess I have a few thoughts maybe to just share, outline, not to be too verbose, but yeah, like you said, the platform and Treasury councils have both approved the TELIP, so that proposal is now in the Compliance Council veto window, and that will close officially tomorrow. So if the Compliance Council does not exercise their veto, then the TELIP will be formally approved, and the token upgrade that community is scrutinized and sharpened and strengthened over this past month is going to clear the council stage completely. So I'm excited because that really brings the successful mainnet launch a lot closer. So I would like to add too that on the audit side, the TEL3 audits are complete. and the final report is being prepared for publication. As we covered previously, though, those audits were funded up front by Telcoin Holdings, acting as the commercial member given how critical the upgrade was and the requirements, just to make sure that things we have information to act on. So considering what's at stake, I think it was justified risk. But the result is now that the community gets to kind of look forward in this next step and complete a vote on audited code with the report in hand instead of just verbal affirmations. So yeah, like you said, AJ, unlocking the 18 decimals is huge. I think that's it's essential for cross-chain support for Telcoin network and TEL as a token. It unlocks the standard ecosystem integrations. So that I think is going to really improve our compatibility with other major players.
Yeah, I'm definitely deleting a lot of lines of code. So
Love it.
Which is a good thing.
That's right.
So. Okay. Does anybody have any kind of like further questions on that TEL token upgrade process that we've gotten? If not, we can wait till the Q&A session and pick that up. No? Okay, good. So next item on the agenda, it's obviously the dovetail thing that comes with this, with the TGIP, which is the constitutional amendment for the TEL token. And I believe Parker's going to come up and speak to that.
Hey, everybody. How are you? Really excited to see that this proposal is Compliance Council. So the next step here in the proposal process for approving the new upgrade to the TEL token is TGIP2 next Thursday. This is the constitutional step, and here's how it works at a high level. So as already mentioned earlier, there are 4 minor groups: liquidity miners, stakers, application developers, and validators within this 3-layered platform. Our governance system empowers the entire value chain for mobile-based blockchain financial services with ownership in terms of the ability to represent itself, their unique interests in governance, and the ability to harvest or mine TEL rewards from the platform, and to overall access the resource system. So each of these 4 groups is really critical to the production of the platform and is empowered within this system of self-governance with the ability to represent their interest in governance. And the way that this is done at the constitutional level, there basically is what's called a TGIP. And so basically a TGIP is the process by which the governance system itself can be changed. And all 4 minor groups who share this equal power over the network are required to vote independently on this TGIP. So what that looks like in practice is that we're going to next Thursday to each of the 4 minor groups propose this TELIP that's been approved as a TGIP. And then each group decides for itself based on its voting power. So it requires an 80% approval threshold and a 20% quorum within each group. And the group's approval stands once given. I think that's really important to note. The councils have done their part. And next Thursday, the decision belongs to the community itself, group by group. And quorum means that your participation is not just symbolic. We need 20% of all TEL that's staked by stakers, all liquidity that is staked by liquidity miners to participate in each of these votes for their minor groups. So yeah, group by group, it's really required that we get a quorum in order to pass this. So I'd ask everyone to read the proposal, bring your questions here now or to the forum before the vote, and show up. Constitutional votes are moments this governance system is built for, and turnout is really what gives the result its weight. So in parallel, we're coordinating with exchanges, block explorers, and this on-chain ecosystem that we're building for Telcoin Network, as well as stakeholders to finalize all the details so that mainnet and the upgraded token launch go off as seamlessly and successfully as possible. So I'll have a few questions that I think are FAQs that I'm going to answer, and then I can give a even more detailed view into TGIP as well. What do you guys think? Should I just start with teaching more about TGIP and our governance system so that people understand it, or have I covered that area?
I mean, I think that would be relevant just
Okay.
to briefly go over that, since this is a slightly different process than our, our regular voting stuff.
Okay. Sounds good. So yeah, I mean, I'll just take a few minutes to describe what TGIP actually is, because I mean, to understand it, you have to see the architecture it sits inside, and that architecture is the most deliberately designed thing about the institution and Telcoin Association generally. So the Telcoin governance system is built as three vertical levels of rule ordered authority. So three levels, and really a fourth level that's above them. Um, Picture a ladder, and as we climb it, notice one thing: each level up decides the rules for the level below. So the first level is the operational rules. This is the day-to-day life of the platform. The four types of miners: stakers, developers, liquidity providers, and validators are producing, consuming, and harvesting value across the platform's networks. Developers build applications on the Telcoin application network, or sort of app store for telecom-powered finance. Liquidity miners provide exchange liquidity on TELX. Validators, who are mobile network operators, produce blocks on Telcoin network. Stakers power adoption. And this is the level of the operational rules where the value is actually created every single day. And power here is radically dispersed. Individual miners compete and cooperate all over the world, making decisions that are based on a set of rules that are structured at a higher level of governance. And so they're making the most decisions at the operational level, because these are the day-to-day: liquidity provision, refer someone, produce a block. And the second level above that is collective choice. This level is what decides those operational rules that structure the day-to-day interactions with the platform and with each other. So it's like who gets funding from TELX, what gets built, how issuance flows, how benefits are allocated. At the highest level, this collective choice level is where you're determining provisioning, so planning and financing, platform collective goods, infrastructure, maintenance and construction, and the allocating TEL or appropriation, so regulating TEL within the resource system. And so this collective choice level is the domain of the five minor councils. So these are the platform, Treasury, TAN, TELX, compliance, each that are composed of different representatives that the minor groups themselves have selected to represent their interests. So it's a representative democracy that has numerous decision-making units focused on specific domains of the platform that collectively cover this full task associated with governance of the Telcoin ecosystem. Um, so every TELIP that you've ever seen, including the token upgrade this past month, that lives at this level. And even here, power is deliberately hard to concentrate. You have five separate councils, distinct jurisdictions, and supermajority, if not complete unanimity, is required in all cases. The third level is constitutional choice. At this level, determines the collective choice rules, or the rules about the rules, and how they're formed. This is how councils are formed. It determines how elections and delegations work, how the governance system itself can be altered. No council really operates at this level outside of the compliance council, who really crosses across these boundaries to ensure that our values and rules are enforced as they're meant to be. Um, and so the constitutional level belongs to one body only, or really four. It's the minor assembly. So all four minor groups acting together, and their instrument is the TGIP. And so considering that you can literally change any aspect of the Telcoin platform's governance system at the constitutional level, it's incredibly important that there's unanimous consent across all of the four minor groups, in the sense that you shouldn't be able to vote someone off the island unless they vote for themselves off of the island, right? And so you want to set the system up so it protects the interests of these groups and their ability to operate. And so you give them a say in it and ensure that They really mean it. Um, so basically, like sort of like voting them off the island. Like you can't just vote liquidity miners off the island because you don't like them. They've got to vote themselves out, and so that ensures an enduring self governance. And then if you think about, so you've got this ladder of operational, then collective choice, which is elections, and then the council members making decisions about the day to day. Then you have the constitutional choice, much harder rules to change, much more difficult processes to coordinate the entire community towards, but really absolutely critical level that must achieve the quorum and approval rates as well as across all of the minor groups for unanimous consent. And above all that is this meta constitutional level, which I won't go too far into, but it's really like the values, which you can read in the association constitution, this shared purpose that we all have, the attributes of our community, the attributes of the resource system, the platform, and that form what those constitutional rules are. So those values that inform things like financial inclusion, operator powered infrastructure, including the entire value chain and ownership, self-governance. No vote really sets those. They are who we are. They're the fabric, the DNA of us culturally. And the Constitution and its rules below them is our attempt to live up to these standards that we share. And here's the elegant part. It's worth about 30 seconds of your attention at least. The levels are connected in both directions. So decisions at each higher level become the rules that structure the level below. Constitutional choices shape how councils decide, and council decisions shape how miners operate in the day to day. But information and outcomes flows back up. What miners learn on the ground, what works, what fails, what the market says, feeds the councils, and the council's experience feeds constitutional change. So rules flow down, learning flows up, and that loop is really the whole design. Now I'll jump into a quick little overview of TGIP so that everybody understands it. We have a little bit of time. So the TGIP is the constitutional instrument, that process by which the minor assembly can alter any aspect of the governance system. It can create a council, remove a council, rewrite election rules. In the extreme, they could dissolve the association itself. The founders did not keep a master key. The community of miners and members of the association holds it. Now look at how carefully the lock is built. So anyone can start one. Any member of the governance forum can draft and submit a TGIP. Moving it on to the official ballots takes miners with 2% of their voting power, or TAO members can submit it to each miner group's voting system to ensure that there's an inclusion in this high level. You shouldn't have to necessarily own 2% of the voting power in a certain miner group to make this proposal. And so the TAO is here to help if someone has a constitutional proposal. So the bar to speak is low, but the bar to decide is as high as it gets, and that's deliberate. So within this process, the same identical TGIP proposal, TGIP2, goes to all four groups, snapshot on a snapshot voting module. So one text codified and numbered will be submitted to stakers, developers, liquidity miners, and validators alike on their individual snapshots. No one can negotiate side deals or play the groups against each other because everyone votes on exactly the same words. Every group must say yes, and yes means a supermajority. And for those who aren't, don't know about what a supermajority is, it's basically, there's a simple majority would be, over 50%. A supermajority is, let's say 50% plus one to whatever we think is fair. So in the case of when I was designing these rules, I looked closely at municipal zoning ordinances to determine what level of consent would be required for a shared resource by people locally, and that is approximately 80%. So the supermajority rate is 80%, and at least 20% of that group's voting power needs to participate for the vote to count. So the simple majority of over 50% can't change the Constitution. 3 groups out of the 4 cannot change this Constitution. Constitutional changes require overwhelming consensus across every functional interest in the ecosystem, the people staking, building, providing liquidity, and running a network. That's how the rights of each group are protected from all the others. And the process converges instead of collapsing because each group votes independently and approval once given stands. And if one group withholds approval, the proposal does not necessarily die. That group discusses what needs to change internally and votes again while the approval is already earned remain in place. This system's built to find consensus, not to manufacture deadlock. We've used this instrument exactly once, and that was in TGIP1 in December 2023. It's the vote by which the community consented to our current constitution and the Telcoin platform itself. Every council seat, every TELIP, every allocation since traces its legitimacy up the ladder to that single constitutional act. And which brings us to Thursday and TGIP2. So watch how the token upgrade has climbed the ladder. It began at the operational level as this engineering reality. I mean, a network that needs a token that is able to enable true scale transactions on its own infrastructure that it actually runs on. And it then went through the entire collective choice level, a month of public scrutiny that made it materially better. I mean, the TEL upgrade proposal was something that was not like me or Grant or anyone in particular. It was the entire set of council members across weeks working together to come to consensus on how things ought to be with the proposal. So it's really been a collective effort, and I'm proud of everyone for coming together on such a complex new upgrade. And so we have now done independent audits, platform council approval, Treasury council approval, and the compliance council's review window is close to closing here. So the collective choice level of the system, the councils, has done everything it has the authority to do, but the TEL token is not really an asset that the councils manage. It's written into the Constitution itself that we ratified in TGIP1. So recording the upgraded TEL as the canonical token of this platform is a constitutional act, and constitutional acts do not belong to councils, they belong to you. So that's TGIP2, only the second constitutional act in this project's history. On next Thursday, all 4 minor groups will be given a proposal in the afternoon. We expect around 5 p.m. Central Time, US, each independently, each on the identical proposal, and each needing 80% approval with 20% quorum over 7 days. So your stake is your choice. Stake TEL for stakers, stake TEL by developers, TELX liquidity, positions containing TEL for liquidity miners, and stake validation for TEL for validators or stake TEL by validators, which in this case, the TAL will vote on behalf of validators until they've reached a quorum themselves. I'll close with this. Quorum means participation is not symbolic. Once again, I want to reiterate that it is literally required for the result to count. So if you could read the proposal, bring your last questions to the forum this week, and next Thursday, climb to the top of the ladder and use the authority the system reserves for you and you alone, whichever way you vote, because the Constitution is only as strong as the community keeps choosing it. Two constitutional votes in this experiment. You're doing something most of this industry only talks about, a community holding the highest power in its own system and using it well. Thank you. And I'm happy to answer any questions that people have.
I think we can go ahead and we can just go ahead and move into, because the next section is open Q&A. So I see Ty's hand is up. So let's start out with Ty, and then it'll allow Derek to consolidate questions that may be online.
Hi, thanks. Good morning from New Zealand. Parker, can you just talk about when the actual snapshot for voting power will happen for the miners? So when do they need to have their stakes in place, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, great question. So and I'm going to answer it with even more context. So our expectation for the time that the proposal will be made on Snapshot is next Thursday, 5 p.m. Central. I need Leo to confirm that is the exact time, but that's my understanding. And we'll definitely confirm it shortly. But yeah, so next Thursday, 5 p.m. Central Time, that when those proposals go off for each of the different minor groups, that's when the snapshot is taken of how much voting power do you have. So if you are a staker in the Telcoin wallet of Tel, that means that your stake Tel counts towards this quorum need, this voting power requirement. And in order for you to vote, you need to go in to your stake balance. And because the Telcoin wallet doesn't support snapshot voting yet, you need to delegate your voting power to an external wallet, whether that's a MetaMask or something similar that you can use to then vote. You don't have to put any TEL into that wallet, but you do need to delegate to an external address and then go vote in the snapshot. And at the time the proposal goes off, 5 p.m. next Thursday, that's when your voting stake will count, and it counts for the entire week. So let's say that you were to stake your TEL, delegate it. If you were to unstake your TEL after the snapshot is taken, it would not count against your voting power. It wouldn't take away your voting power. And similarly, if you were to add stake TEL to your balance, the snapshot counts at the exact time the proposal is made, and it is available as voting power for 7 days.
Great. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks, Ted.
Okay, Derek, do we have any questions coming from online? The restream chat here. See. See, we've got a couple here.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. I apologize.
Okay.
My bad.
Take it over.
Yeah, I had one that was sent in earlier that's not on the stream chat. So this is for Grant to start. Developer question. Have the developer team gotten access to Claude Mythos or Mythos yet? And if not, are you concerned about any vulnerabilities it could find? And are the AIs being used for security scans comparable in design?
We do not have access to Mythos yet. We have filed for that the day it came out. We've been working closely with Cantina, and they have access to some of the members-only models, including others outside of just Mythos. So yes, we tangentially have access to those models, and that's one of the reasons that we're working so closely with Cantina for our security audits. We did have one of those AI scans, elevated AI scans conducted for the TEL3 and the TEL3 staking audits. As far as our internal security assessments, we are using heavy sub-agents from multiple angles. We have a lot of custom skills. It's something else that we're working closely with the security professionals and just enhancing prompts and different queries and constantly updating and trying new approaches to just see what else we can squeeze out of the performance in these prompts.
Great, thank you, Grant. Let's see. What are the plans for post-network launch for the network?
Well, I personally am looking forward to the post-launch because I think that's where a lot of the fun's going to begin, where we can start building on the network. We can start using it more, and expanding the use cases. So the roadmap from a protocol perspective will continue to be expanding parallel worker lanes, enhancing our execution library, and actually taking some more ownership over that. That'll enhance our long-term success, including just a more fundamental approach into our RPCs and data availability, as well as just overall improvements to the protocol that we've decided to that were not strictly necessary in order to launch mainnet as quickly and securely as possible. But I know that there's a lot of other exciting business development and ecosystem partnerships that are being explored too that others can speak to. But yeah, on the protocol side, we've got a lot of work and all sorts of things to continue working on, is just making the protocol stronger all the time.
Awesome. Anyone else from a biz dev perspective? Parker, anybody want to speak to that?
Yeah, and if you could just repeat the question, just so
Yeah.
is it the marketing plan after?
Yeah, no,
launch,
of course. No, it was what are some of the plans for the network post launch? Is just more of a generalized question.
Yeah, no, it's a great question and super important. So one thing that I mean, so the way that we're looking at this right now with this network launch is with hindsight, we've seen every network launch that's ever happened in this industry. And typically what you see is this sort of euphoric blow off top that results in a lot of people upset because people pump a tremendous amount of incentives and basically try and be everything for everyone. So they want to get every single protocol, every DEX, every money market, every use case that you can think of all under their chain, create 100 pages of ecosystem partners, and then people come there and they say, well, what do we do? And it sort of devolves into meme coinery everywhere. That's my observation, is that because we're missing this sort of dialed in focused set of use cases for specific chains, and we're also lacking a distribution globally from an aligned set of validators, and we're missing embedded banking globally. We have been incapable as an industry of really evolving past this meme coinery. And so our goal with this launch is to bring on the ecosystem partners that will facilitate a very specific set of use cases at the outset that we can then build everything else from. So that starts with money. It starts with bringing on-chain Forex powered remittances, intercarrier settlements, tokenizing telecom infrastructure and supply chains, and then expanding from there. Once you have those primitives right, you can build anything else that you want. But if you don't get those right, then you're probably not going to be the internet of money. And so if you try and be everything for everyone, my view is that lack of focus, it loses in the long term. It results in a tremendous amount of dejected behavior because people don't really know why they're there. They're just looking for any opportunity, and so quick money is the thing. And in our case, we want an enduring blockchain network that can actually grow and expand to host the on-chain foreign exchange market that we've envisioned as this internet of money. And so what you'll see from the perspective of what happens on day one is we're bringing in a very focused set of ecosystem partners to build a useful set of products on that we can enable for a global user base, starting with corridor specific, and then expanding globally, and really focused in on a select group of partners to be able to exhibit these use cases to everyone in the world for what we can do when we connect every country into one unified ledger and unlock this technology with banking, and really distribute useful use cases from the perspective of bringing exhibitions to the GSMA that we can showcase and really beyond. And so what you shouldn't expect is like some crazy sort of like everybody just like losing their mind mania type of launch, and one that is focused, concentrated, and useful so that we can really bring this to the world in a way that is meaningful, impactful, and exciting over the long term, up and to the right, not up to the right and then back down the elevator. So yeah, the goal here is to have a sustainable, viable mainnet with great use cases. There will be announcements from partners across the stack as they come online, as well as validators and application developers and beyond. So that's the way that we're at least thinking about this right now. Happy to answer any questions that come from that. Thanks.
Thanks, Parker. Okay, let's see. Here's another one. Will more exchange opportunities be explored once the decimal change has been made? It seems as though this has been a hang up for many years.
Yeah, so our working theory that is certainly backed by anecdotal conversations is that in actually based off of our own learned experience, 2 decimal points is incredibly difficult to integrate into existing EVM. All the tooling and infrastructure has been built for 18 decimal points or 6 decimal points plus. And so, yeah, I think that we all of a sudden, instead of them having to flag a 2 decimal point token and having that as a blocker, we're ubiquitous with the ERC20 standard and can be utilized and plugged into any of these applications serving any other tokens, just like you would be historically. I also want to point out, though, that increasingly what we are seeing is that the centralized exchange volume versus decentralized exchange volume is really kind of closing in terms of DEX volume is starting to catch up. And that's where we want to be. Our world is on chain, not off chain. That isn't to say that we don't want to drive exchange partnerships. That is absolutely critical to what we're doing. We've demonstrated that by financing it. And the endless work that we've done to make that happen. I think this is going to make it way easier, but I don't want to lose sight of the goal. We can go to market and obtain additional distribution by connecting to all the existing exchanges. That is a viable path. It's also the path that everybody's trying to do all at once, and you still have 800,000 daily active users on Ethereum. Our goal is to build bridges to directly on chain to Telcoin network, and so that does mean exchanges getting listed, but it means an intense focus on bringing things on chain and making blockchain compatible with traditional finance and re-platforming existing applications onto one unified global network instead of a centralized service provider whose entire model is based on speculation, which is there's nothing wrong with that at all. Bit of a speculator myself, but for what we're doing here, it goes far beyond centralized exchanges.
Thanks, Grant. Right, Grant Parker. Thank you. Great answer. Let's see here. I think we already answered this, Grant. There's another question about what remains before the code freeze, but I believe you already answered that. And then they asked, are there any security concerns that have come up privately that later surfaced publicly limited to public available evidence? Not sure what they mean by that, but basically anything that you thought might be an issue that came up later, I would assume.
Yeah, I guess I could start off, I guess, maybe with what the code freeze and what I mean by that. So with code changes, there's logic that is actually, if you can say it in English, I can write it into code. And so a lot of that logic is put into the code. But sometimes there's logical fallacies. Sometimes there's race conditions. There's a lot of different things that can happen once the code is written that could cause potential issues. So once you have a third-party assessment and you have experts in the security realm assess your code, we call that frozen because we don't want to touch that anymore. So it's important that we have all of the features that we expect to have, and that we have all of the tests in place and all the sort of just features are fully implemented. They're in the code, and now we have the experts take a look at it. They identify areas of concern. We patch those concerns. They reassess it, and they either say, "Oh, you missed a spot," or "Good to go." And so when we get those clearances, it's really important that we leave that code as it stands without major modifications, because we risk reintroducing new concerns. So For the smart contracts that are at the core of the protocol, where validators are identified and earn rewards and stake, and the economic incentives align, that is pretty much considered frozen. We have one last pull request, I believe, that is being reviewed by the security researchers for completeness, and then we'll be able to review and publish the final report. So, as far as security concerns discussed privately, yes, that's something that is part of our daily day-to-day responsibilities on the protocol team. We're constantly thinking about and challenging each other on, how could this code be broken? If I wanted to really throw a wrench in the system, where would I look? Me as a developer, what is my gut telling me that I need to go back and take another look at? And so all those are, discussed in our daily stand-ups. We're helping each other with every single piece of code that goes into the protocol is peer reviewed by at least one, usually two members of the protocol team. And all this is in a public space. And so something else that we've recently taken steps towards in anticipation for a mainnet release is going through the security tools at our disposal for private and responsible disclosures and hardening our own private disclosure pathways. So, when we have code that is so publicly visible and we're doing everything we can to eliminate any possibility of attack surface before mainnet. But in the event that something was discovered after mainnet was launched, we do have a pathway for experts and security researchers and other partners as part of our bounty program to communicate directly with us in a very efficient manner that is private, and so that we can apply these patches and address any security concerns and update the protocol before it becomes publicly available. Because the goal is to not tip off any attackers if we discover things first. So hopefully that answered your question, GMM, but happy to follow up if there's anything else.
There was one other where they had asked if all critical pull requests have been successfully merged and closed.
Yes, as of right now, there is. We have one of the one particular finding that came up this week is currently under review internally with our protocol team as one of the, but it's more on the consensus side. So, but for the things that are on the actual execution layer and for the smart contracts, these criticals are the top priorities, right? So we have no outstanding criticals, and they've all been successfully merged.
Thank you, Grant. Appreciate that. Let's see. There's a question on percentage completion of the roadmap. There's again, the roadmap is a milestone-based system, so there's no percentage based there. There is a progress bar, but not a percentage based. As Grant explained, there's audits can change things move everywhere, and we're moving in the right area there. So moving on to the next one here. There's a question about will MNO partners, aka validators, announce themselves, or will Telcoin Association disclose the MNOs running on the network at launch?
They'll announce themselves, but it'll be a mix of both. So we'll co-market with them around their launch. There'll be a proposal into the forum, and yeah.
They have to have a formal application on the forum, right, Parker, for to be an official validator, I think is the rule.
Correct.
Something like that. Yeah.
Correct. Without the main network live, yeah, it's blocker. But once that's integrates.
Perfect. Let's see. And then this one is also for you, Parker. How much longer until the advisor is made public?
I believe a month, but I spoke with them this week about that, and they said they're going to check the timeline, and then we'll get together and announce it. So I think like over the next month is when it should be expected. It could be sooner, it could be at the latter half of August, but not much after that. And everything's going well on that front. Our advisor has been a absolute force multiplier and enabled us to focus on what's important for telecoms at this juncture. And also, just really has been a great support just across the board, from partnerships to planning and strategy, and products and beyond. So we're feeling really, really great about being the blockchain for telecoms.
Great, thank you, Parker. I believe that's all the questions Dally did put here, but I think this is important because we've had a bunch of inquiries come in to the developer chairs recently. But if you or know anybody or any projects that are interested in learning about building on Telcoin Network, please reach out to us at devs@telcoin.org so that we can speak with them and talk about potential use cases and ways that we can help with that process. So I know some council members have brought some people forward, so thank you, Angelica, and a few others. But yeah, please reach out. There's a question from the UK about something with transferring money from the bank on the app. Just as a reminder, the app support should be done through telco.in. This is the Telcoin Association, so we don't have any purview or support capabilities with a developer on the network and their product. So please reach out there, and if you're still having issues, you can contact us on socials and see if we can assist as well. But the proper way to do that is to enter a ticket through telco.in and their support. And that is all the questions that I have so far in the chat.
Okay, thank you, Derek. So let's talk about next meetings. So thank you everyone for joining our 43rd Platform and Treasury Council meeting. Our next meetings are going to be on August 13th, August 27th, and September 10th. 2026 is the year of Telcoin. Mainnet, closer than ever. It's coming. M&O validators are setting up and actively testing. The Telcoin blockchain standard is becoming reality. See you in another 2 weeks. 2026, the year of Telcoin, the internet of money. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, sir.